know many guys are intimidated by the DX7 because of the complexity of the algorithms. One guy joked about it on Facebook. He said he got a PhD in physics since that would be easier. Although the DX7 is complex, one should not give up on it. So I made this video on how to set up the DX7 to emulate a B3 organ. It's a good starting point to learn how to create sounds on the DX7. But before I get started, I should mention there's a hidden feature on the B3 rock patch and the off the matrix banks. In the organ patch, operator 4 was programmed for percussion, but you can't hear it the way it's set. So if you go into edit, and then set the output level, you get percussion. There's a sweet spot in many of the off the matrix patches where the sound can be drastically altered by changing one of the patch settings. This patch used algorithm 31 for more of a rock sound, but I'll use 32 for this patch in the video. The carriers without modulation on the DX7 produce sine waves like the drawbars on a Hammond organ. I can use the organ setup on the Korg Kronos as a reference. For this video, I'll be running the DX7 and the Korg Kronos through the Korg Leslie effect. Here's the tone of one drawbar pulled out. And here's the tone of one sine wave on the DX7. If you listen closely, you can hear there's a high-pitched overtone on the drawbar on the Kronos that the DX7 sine wave doesn't have. Korg did a good job of creating the leakage between the drawbars that's common of old B3s. You can almost get that leakage effect by having a second carrier set to the frequency of 8 with a low volume like this. I converted the drawbars configuration to frequencies of the DX7. Start with an initial voice. It's perfect for an organ. Use this table to set up the DX7 using algorithm 32. Granted, there is an issue by the fact that the DX7 only has 6 operators to use, while the B3 had 9 drawbars. But it shouldn't be much of a problem because I doubt that all the drawbars are used anyway. So I set up the DX7 starting with the 16-foot drawbar set to 0.5 for operator 1 and ends with operator 6 with a frequency of 4 as the 2-foot drawbar. Or you could set up operator 6 to the frequency of 8 for a leakage effect. After you set the frequencies, you need to raise the volumes of the DX7's outputs. I made this table to convert the drawbar settings to operator output levels. I used the Kronos as a reference. One would think a drawbar setting of, say, 4 would have been a volume of about 50. I found the volumes were higher than I expected. For example, the classic A Whiter Shade of Pale uses these settings. To set the drawbar to 6, the output of operator 1 will be 90, and of course the drawbar set to 8 will be at 100. Now I'll compare the sound of the DX7 to the Kronos. Of course the Kronos sounds good, but I think the DX7 has a ballsy quality that the Kronos lacks. I like to say that vintage is not obsolete. Admittedly, I'm running the DX7 through the Kronos Leslie effect, which is helping it. Now you too can make beautiful colors with your DX7. Be sure to subscribe.